Ah, we are live. It is just a touch afternoon here on the East Coast. I'm in Atlanta. You know it's Friday, and you know what we do every week. We've been doing this for at least 9 months or something like that. It's crazy. Who knew? Anyway, it is small biz breakdown time. And when I do small biz breakdown, I do it with friends. Speaking of which, Leland from Oregon is here. Hey,
Hey,
Leland.
Brent, it's always good to do things with friends. Sharing is caring.
So I've heard. Wow, that sounded so wholesome. I don't
That's
know
me,
what
wholesome.
I don't know how to respond to wholesome. Anyway, but this, our next person is wholesome, and actually we go, because we have a few missing souls. We're going back to not the Heartland, folks. We're going back. What is it? The Soul Land or the Rock and Roll Land?
Flatlands?
Magical Medina Land. Even a Taylor.
Hey everyone, I like rock and roll land. I don't know that I would go soul land, although even though we're not like Motown, we got a good. In fact, there was a video I saw real quick about all of the different amazing people who came from Ohio and left to become famous. So the lesson is you got to leave.
You gotta leave. Well, speaking of someone who left and is in parts unknown, because I don't know where the hell he is. He is the cold one. He is the bold one. Some call him the old one. John Cold Rice Laws.
What's up?
Where are you?
I am in Sonoma, California.
Wow, Panoma.
Yes, for the California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce statewide meeting. Yay!
And you're the keynote or something?
I was yesterday.
Oh, you've already done it.
I've already done it.
Well, I guess you were talking about AI, right? I mean,
Absolutely. 5 AI tools for small business advantage.
So give us the main piece of advice that you gave to this august meeting. What did you tell them they need to do right now?
I told them you need to go to marbleism.com and use code JOHN.
This is an affiliate link scam,
25%.
folks.
It's actually not. It's actually not. It's like I've got a negotiated discount for people. But here's the thing: it is an agentic AI that actually works. And I told you about it. I mean, I think we talked about
Yeah,
it.
we talked about it on the show, I think.
Yeah, we did. And so, I mean, that's been for the last couple of presentations I've done. That's been like the big aha at the end. It's like, go do this now. So
Did they
there you
do
go.
that now? Did they?
A few of them did.
Okay. Okay.
You know, they're still in conference, so it's not like,
Ah,
but it's interesting.
very nice. Well, I'm sure they appreciated all the wisdom that you dropped on them.
Oh, listen to yeah, I did. I dropped some wisdom. I dropped
Look, man,
bombs up in there, bro.
let's not get carried away. I gave you, I
You
gave
gave
you,
me a little.
I gave you a little piece. Don't take a whole piece of cake.
Damn.
All right. So as I usually do every week, lots of stuff has happened. I'm looking at the stock market right now. It's up like 800 points. That's because Saint Jerome, otherwise known as J Powell, I guess I call him Saint Jerome. Romy Rome? No, I can't do that. That's Martin. Anyway, the Fed chief. Oh wow, it's now up 958 points.
Oh, okay.
Because during the recent speech, I mean, like just ended an hour or so ago, Jerome Powell kind of hinted that it might be time to start dropping interest rates. He actually said the main concern over the last several years has been inflation, and now it's not the only concern or main concern. There are other things. And so he's not as hawkish because he doesn't feel like inflation is out of control anymore. It seems to be pretty steady. And so that gives them a little wiggle room to start dropping rates. So with all that said, Leland, let's go to you first. How do you feel about all that and where we are from a small business perspective right now?
Well, I'd love to see the rates change or to drop, because I mean that'll allow more small businesses to be able to get loans and be able to expand at better rates. And hopefully, like personally, I'd love to be able to get like a HELOC loan at a better rate. And just I think that it'll really help the economy, help grow it. I wish that had happened months earlier, but and he says he'll do it, but we'll see, because as he said, there's a board, and if the board wants to go and say no, we can't do it, but we all know that if Jerome says yes, then it'll happen. If Jerome says no, then it won't happen, unless all of the board members or half the board members were to dissent against him. But that doesn't happen. That's not happened in the last 30 years. It's only 2 people recently voted against him in the last and that's the only time that's happened in the last 30 years. So he holds a whole lot of power. So if he says let's lower the interest rates, that's what's going to happen. If not, then not. But I'd love to see it.
Who you tagging?
John, you're up.
Yeah, I never see a time where I'm like, yo, let's raise those rates. That just doesn't happen, man. So I'm all for it. It doesn't, I'm not looking at doing any borrowing at this point, but when you do, and the lowest rate is always the best rate. And I do feel that it's probably maybe a quarter past due. I thought it was going to do it last time. So, or how often do they do it? Every 2 months or whatever. So, yeah, I think let's do it. Let's see what happens. It'll be right on time for back to school. Yay.
Well, I was waiting for the obvious, but go ahead.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, to just echo what's bad about interest rates, I've actually been thinking about it from the customer side, of course, and the people who are going to be purchasing from small businesses. And I don't have the numbers. I just have like what I've read, and the anecdotal part. Don't ask me to quote it. But we as consumers are carrying incredible amounts of debt.
Like 1.3 trillion, I think.
Yeah, right. Like we're just carrying incredible amounts of debt. So from that side, I know this is what's weird. I know I'm supposed to say it's a good thing, right? I know I'm supposed to say it's a good thing. And for all the obvious reasons, of course, it would be great. But I am just grooving on the fact that I feel like nothing has been behaving the way it's supposed to behave. And so hence I'm like, I don't know. Right? Businesses will be able to borrow. Consumers will be able to get deeper in debt. It's just like this self-reinforcing.
That sounds so good, even though it sounds great.
This is what I'm saying. This is like, I'm listening to myself and I'm just like, well, what? Right? And the bigger picture, of course, is that why do we want interest rates to go down? Remember, we are not the customer, right? The top 10 companies in the S&P 500 are the customer, which is why the market keeps gaining. Because number one is NVIDIA, and everyone below them is buying shit from NVIDIA. So it's like, I don't know. I honestly, I'm a sci-fi fan. And years ago, there was an old sci-fi show called Babylon 5. And at the very, very end of that show, they had this wise alien. He was called the Cylon, and he was like this robotic wise alien. And at the last episode, he says, "The avalanche has started. It's too late for the pebbles to vote."
Wow.
And that is how I feel.
Wow. What now that's a mic drop right there. But
I
it's
wish
too
I
ear-
had written it. Is so good.
and it's too early in the show for mic drops. It'd be quite a quiet show. Wow. That is actually really interesting. Do you guys feel better? I mean, like, does this signal anything? Like, do you want to go out and buy something or invest in anything at the moment?
No, I don't believe the hype, but no,
No.
not for a 0.5%, a 1/4%. Yeah, they probably won't even do a 0.5%. It'll probably be a 1/4%.
He'll probably dip his toe. Probably
right, So no, not really.
because there's still a little bit of apprehension because guess what? The tariffs really haven't kicked in yet. Although I am seeing signs. I don't know if you guys are you guys seeing any signs of
Oh yeah.
okay, so you see, yeah, I'll tell you one. I don't even know why that's going up. Why is Apple Plus going from $9.99 to $13?
Because Apple can.
Because marketing.
Oh, it's
What's
just
Apple
ridiculous.
Plus? What is Apple Plus?
It's their Amazon Prime, basically. It's their
Okay, so that's
service.
their okay.
Yeah.
All right. And it started at $9.99, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why? First of all, hi, Dr. Chijiri Reckons. Juicy state. What's the juicy statement? Oh, I guess the mic drop
The
from.
mic drop. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I might not have described it as juicy, but yeah, I agree. It is definitely a juicy statement. I'm starting to see stuff going up, and I don't know why. Although I see why the stock market is going up, I don't know if this is just a temporary high because when these tariffs really kick in, are we going to be feeling all happy?
Well, the floodgates have been burst now. You saw the announcement with Home Depot.
I didn't. What was that one? What was that?
Well, Home Depot said they're getting ready to increase prices because of tariffs.
Oh,
so remember we were talking last week. I said once somebody actually makes the move, then all the other ones, the dominoes will start to fall. So I think in the next 30 days or so, you're going to see a lot of increases and admittance that has something to do with tariffs. So like I said, I'm here at this event, right? So one of the things I think Bank of America was presenting yesterday, and she mentioned that the average tariff rate on average was like 4%, and that has now increased to 18%.
Oh, whoa. More than quadruple.
Right. That's the average, all of the differences. Right. So, and you could hear the little silent groans in the room. But it's like, it's coming. Everybody feels it, knows it. But at the same time, when it comes to the stock market, and we're looking at that, I mean, she said that overall, like 40% of the increase in stocks are based on the top 7 stocks.
The Magnificent Seven.
The Magnificent Seven, right. And I'm just like thinking, I'm like, things are so out of balance. Like even a saying, it's just, I don't know. It's kind of weird right now, but you are going to see some of those average daily increases trickle down to other businesses.
Shout out to Amber before just welcoming Amber. We love Amber. Thank you for joining us, Amber. Okay, even I didn't mean to step.
No, not at all. Yeah, I didn't say this earlier. My husband and I were having a conversation actually this morning about taking some trips or whatever this year. Like, what are we going to do this year? And he says, oh, it's supposed to be a cold winter. We should go skiing. I'm like, yeah, that's bigger. Let's not do a big trip. Let's just do something local, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you got to be prepared for everything to be about 30% more expensive than it was.
30%. Geez.
I am actually estimating. That's why I thought I'd bring that up with you guys today. I don't care what the numbers are. I don't care, averages, blah, blah, blah. And I'm putting this out here because I want us all to sort of see what our personal experience is. But my estimate is that everything's going to be, on average, your end dollar experience out of pocket from your bank account is going to be approximately 30%.
Wasn't it last week that the somebody estimated 2,400 a year for a family of that? So
I think it's going to be way more than that.
You think?
I do. And the reason I think that is because of market pricing, right? Value pricing, market pricing, right? People don't do cost plus pricing. Most people do market value pricing. So there are some businesses like the obvious, right? Like what would you call it? Like lumber and, these things that are obvious imports, right? What's not so obvious is the imports that are all the way down the supply chain. And the least obvious of all is that you're going to raise prices because everyone is raising prices. You can't have product A go up 30%. And every micro business I know, the guy that came to do my stump, the guy, I'm talking about people in your neighborhood. They don't want to raise prices, and they haven't raised prices. They gonna do it now. They're gonna have to do it now. So whether you're impacted by the tariffs or not, they're gonna impact you in some way, shape, or form, right? Whether it's the product, software is going up. Why is software going up, right? Because
they can do it. Yeah,
and that's why I'm saying it's going to become exponential, and that's why the whole interest rate lowering and whatever. I actually expect inflation, true price increases, to be higher than we ever thought possible. And at the same time, I think I've said this before, I expect everyone to spend it, eat shit, and call it ice cream.
There's another mic drop there. Once again, we're a little too early for that.
Sorry.
Leland, what do you have to say, Leland? Because you've been pretty optimistic, and that picture that Eva just painted, that doesn't fit that.
I don't want that picture in my head.
I meant to do that. That's some marketing speak there.
Wow.
So I'm kind of wondering how many people are going to raise their rates and hide behind the fact that it's tariffs, because tariffs are based off of the price that you're bringing in. So like, we talk about Home Depot and we talk about lumber, and, I went and I bought some studs for a project, and they were around, $4 a stud or $5 a stud. And Home Depot probably bought those studs for probably like $2 maybe. And if there's a 20% tariff, that's 40 cents. How much are they going to raise their rates? Are they going to sit there and say, is this going to be a 40, we're just going to pass it on? Or are we going to hide behind the fact that, blame the tariffs and then raise it by $1 instead of just having the consumer cover the costs? And I think that we're going to probably see a lot of that. We're going to, blame the tariffs, but in reality, we just want more money, and we're just going to hide behind that.
So many people did that during COVID. Mm-hmm. I remember, there were certain industries that were directly impacted as they raised their prices. Then everybody's prices started going up, and I'm like, what's going on, man? So there's definitely going to be a lot of, there's a lot of cover here, but also there are a lot of real costs. That was another thing that the Bank of America person said, that, and I can't remember the exact number, but it was like 97%. It was over 95% of small business owners or small businesses are direct or indirect importers.
Wow. Yeah. In the immortal words of Dr. Tajiri, Sweet baby Jesus.
Dr. Jerry forgot to add that sweet little 8.5 pound baby Jesus.
Sweet little
Mm.
8.5
Yeah,
pound.
we getting all the details in this one. John, so how many people were at this event that you spoke out yesterday?
I don't know, maybe 800. I didn't
Okay.
count the room.
So-
It's pretty sizable.
Give me the feel. Were they generally optimistic or were they worried? Because I'm guessing there's a lot of small businesses.
Nah, I haven't had that conversation yet. Just to feel the room out. But hey, they're all seemingly doing well, honestly.
Hmm.
Everybody. It didn't seem like the people that I talked to were doing a lot of hand wringing, right? And honestly, just in general, when I talk to small business owners, do you feel there's a lot of hand wringing even at all?
I actually was doing a lot of thinking about that. It is not hand wringing. See if I could find my little worksheet here. It is they trust themselves and their ability to get through tough times, right? Because I was actually developing a persona around this. So they trust their ability, right? Their innate ability to survive and do what needs to be done. They don't trust what's happening out there.
Right.
Because I'm trying to understand how you can be optimistic, because optimism from NFIB is increased again, right? How only 11% of small business owners are concerned of the NFIB population, which is a great population there. Only 11% of them are concerned about inflation, say that's the number one challenge. Another 11% are concerned about their sales. Those are ridiculously low numbers.
They are very low.
Right? And I am like, I want to have what they're having. So, and I was trying to understand that. And as I was looking through that very, very closely, which I think very few people do, you've got to look at an entire data set, right? You have to look at the whole data set and the story that it tells, and then you're going to see inconsistencies like I was talking about.
Yeah.
And and then I asked myself the question, how can these two things coexist? And that's just the answer I came up with. And we all know this as small business owners, right? We control our destiny, right?
Whoa.
We control our destiny, but it's those other jerks, right? It's like when you're driving the car, right? I'm a great driver.
Yeah, I ain't worried about nothing.
Me. I ain't worried about me.
Right. Yeah.
It's those other
the other guy.
Yeah.
And
The
that's
jerks.
and that's what I kind like when I think about that NFIB population, the folks who have like fewer than 25 employees, in the $1.5 million mark, those kinds of small business owners. So I'm not surprised. However, where I do see/hear hand wringing is a private one-on-one conversation, not an event, not on a Zoom call, not on an anything, but like if we are face to face and I ask you how you're doing.
So in other words, they're not, the fronting is at the group level. Like everybody, when there's a big group, everybody's just, oh, wow, I'm doing great. And then when you actually talk to them one-on-one without a lot of people around, then it gets more real. Is that?
Well, maybe that is more my personal finances versus the business finance.
But do small businesses really separate that out a lot?
Oh, absolutely.
They do?
I think
it depends on the size.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Yeah, you get to a certain size. Yeah, I'm guessing. But all right, let's go around. And folks, first of all, Smith, thank you for joining us. Smith, Danilo. All right, so I want to ask each of you, and I'm including the folks in the comments too. That means you too, Amber. Give me one thing that is currently keeping you up at night, or at least keeping you concerned. I'm not going to say driving me crazy, just concerned. What is like the most from a business side of things? I know everybody's got a lot of stuff going on personally, but let's think about it from a business perspective. What one thing are you the most concerned about when it comes to the business? Leland, let's start out with you.
The biggest thing that I, get a little worried about is, Google's, so Small Business Trends, we do news, we do, you know, articles on how to help and run your business, start a business. And Google is coming in, with their AI overviews, and they're pushing further and further. And I do worry about them kind of taking away viewers. I ran into a couple of guys a couple of years ago who had a slew of calculator websites, mortgage calculators, tax calculators, all sorts of calculators, and they were the top. They were top of their game. And then Google came along and started offering calculators on their pages, and their traffic bottomed out. And so I guess for me personally, that's just where I get worried at night, that websites like mine will just become obsolete.
Does AI pose that kind of the main threat to that?
I don't know if AI necessarily, but Google's use of it to do AI overviews.
Okay.
And capture the attention, keep, and from what I've seen with social media, it's like in the past you could just post a link and it would do all right. Now social media companies, they don't want you to leave because you're the customer. If you leave Facebook to go and read an article, they've lost you as a customer and they can no longer make money. And so if you're just posting a link on Facebook, that's not going to get as much attention because that's not in Facebook's best interest. And so I'm looking more into making articles or making posts that are kind of just abbreviations of my articles. Haven't gotten to that yet, but that's something that I'm kind of looking into and see if I could just make a little extra money off of Facebook that way. I don't know. But it's this idea that these tech companies are trying their hardest to keep their users on their platform instead of actually being what they are intended for, which is, in the past it was, Facebook, you could find all of this information and you can go there and get this information. Search engine, the whole point of a search engine is I want to find this information, and now Google's like, well, we'll just give it to you and you stay in our warm embrace.
Yeah, it's now that you mentioned that, that's crazy. It's everything old is new again. It's like welcome to AOL.
Wow. Didn't Shashi post on the AOL is still around?
Yeah, they just got rid of
their dial-up is ending in September.
Wow.
Oh no.
Jesus.
There was I saw statistics. It was like still around 1 million people use dial-up.
If you rule.
Yeah.
So what keeps you up, man? What keeps you up, Mr. Ice?
The sleepiness of people when it comes to AI and how it's probably going to impact, I'd say, between 50 to 30% of the workforce in reduction very soon. Very soon.
Are they sleeping on the time, or are they sleeping on the percentage of job? Because it feels like there's a lot of people that have been very nervous about their job going away because of AI for a while now. Is it that, or is it the speed of which this is happening?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of both, but or it's both. But I don't think a lot of people that might think that are, what are you doing about it? It's like, what are you doing, folks? You're still sitting around scrolling through TikTok videos. Shut up. It's just, dude, I'm serious. It's about to get very, very serious very quickly as these agent AIs are starting to do more. They do things. Before AI was all about, I put something in, it puts something back out. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I can copy and paste that and use that somewhere. Now it's actually, the difference is I give it a command. It figures out all the steps that it needs to do. It makes a checklist. It runs all the steps. And then 5, 10, 30 minutes later, it comes back and says, hey, John, I've done it. That's, man, you don't understand. And it does it 24 hours a day. And I don't have to give it coffee breaks. And it doesn't smoke. It doesn't need health care. Yeah, this is about to really impact. I believe you and I have always talked about e-commerce, right? And how much of e-commerce would take away from regular brick and mortar commerce. And I've always said it would never get over 50%. And it hasn't. It's still at like 28%.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's still a ways to go on that, but it's
got a
been
ways
creeping
to
up.
go.
It's been creeping up.
We felt like it was going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
And I think, we've overhyped this AI job replacement thing like it was going to happen overnight because we needed new, what was that? The basic income, whatever that thing was, because people are going to be, I don't think it's going to be like that, but that 15, 20%, if it takes away that, what's that going to do to a lot of folks that don't really have a lifeline? So it's like, we got to start thinking about that seriously, because in the next 2-3 years, you're going to see this impact.
What keeps you up, or
it keeps me up at night?
Yeah, what keeps even up, even in what we call it, rock and roll
land, in
Yes.
believe land, in
And
believe land. I think it's ironic, right? That is like a whole thing. But what keeps me up at night? Couple things. I'm an Eastern European mom, and what that means is that everything that John was like, I'm not thrown by the whole, this is like the internet all over again, like websites all over again. Like it was just like, wasn't like even 5 or 8 years ago that only 68% of businesses even had a website. People were late to that game. So imagine being that person, right? With AI. I think what keeps me up at night is the pain that marketers will go through, the pain that small businesses will go through in realizing that marketing is their business, right? Marketing is the thing that you have to do. This did not used to be a thing. I don't even like that it's a thing. I'm a disillusioned marketing critic person now. I don't like that it's a thing, but it is a thing, and it's going to become more and more and more important. Your personal brand is going to become more important. You will learn marketing speak. You will learn to start speaking in outcomes that your customers want. You will learn that, and it's going to be painful. And I feel bad about that. And that keeps me up at night because a lot of us marketers who are here to help small businesses, we're struggling with the fact that the old things are not working anymore. That, that old playbook or whatever you want to call it, that old process, it is just not working anymore. You can't count on just sending emails and getting certain amount of response. That ROI has been dropping for years. It used to be 44. Then next thing you know, it was like 42, then 40. Now it's like 38, 36. I mean, read the room.
Read the room, y'all. Read the room.
And anybody else in the comments, let us know what's keeping you up at night.
Yeah, we want to know. I want to know what's happening with real people, because this is like one of those moments, right? The face-to-face moment where we like really tell it like it. At least I do. I'm not going to sit there and blow smoke up your hiney and tell you.
She's on a roll.
Okay. The interesting thing after listening to all three of you is that John and Ivana were talking more in terms of, their concern being for the other like people that you connect with. I guess John with the folks that he comes across and teaches AI, his concerns about them, not about him, because he's and even though your concern was also not directly about you, it was about others. Leland, yours is about what this technology could do to your business. So I find that really fascinating. No, I'm not saying it, negative. I just find that it's really interesting. Me personally, I think maybe a little bit of both, but and maybe I don't know if this is more than usual, but let's see, we're getting ready to hit Labor Day, so I'm not even really concerned about the rest of the year. I'm already turning the next year, and like, okay, personally, do I have what I need? The engagements and the opportunities that I don't have to worry about next year. I would love being able not to have to worry about the year ahead. And I don't remember the last time I really had to, but it's just there. And I think AI maybe adds a little bit of layer into, wow, these folks that I deal with, do they still need the things that I do? Or do they value them a little differently because there's this AI stuff? So I look at it from that perspective, but then I also look at the big picture and I say, yeah, people need jobs. People need to be able to make a living. And I think they need to do a little bit more of a living than just working, the gig economy jobs that some of them want to do, and then some of them are forced to do because they can't find the good old jobs that people used to have, where you got a good salary, you got time off, you got a 401k, you had great health care. It doesn't feel settling right now in terms of that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, people can make some money. You go out and drive your car and deliver stuff, and that's good, but that's a hustle. That almost feels like more of a short-term fix versus the long-term fix, which would be, get a good job, be able to grow through the ranks, take your kids out for vacation. If they get sick, we got what we need. Has that time gone for the majority of people?
Man,
is it gone forever?
Black and white TV, bro.
Is there any way to get back to that? Because to me, that was an artificial feeling. But when I was a kid, and maybe my parents were hiding stuff, because they don't want their kids to think about stuff. But are parents able to hide that kind of stuff now, like compared to what they were doing back then? Because I didn't feel any kind of worry about where am I going to live, where am I going to get my next meal. My biggest worry is, when am I getting my allowance?
Yeah, but that's being a kid, man.
But I'm saying there's a lot of kids that are growing up now that don't have that level of security because their parents are in this weird economy where they aren't doing that.
I don't think that's changed.
I think it's changed. I don't. Well, what do you guys think? I don't know. Has it changed for the way that you look at things from when 30 years ago when Leland was only a little kid back then, but when you were first starting out and I got a full-time job, I had benefits and all that kind of, I had vacation. I was in my early 20s when all that, I don't see as many people that have that kind of setup. I don't know if they don't want it or it's just not available to them.
My son has that kind of setup. My son is insanely lucky, right? Primarily because of our connections. Okay. So through our familial connections, he was able to get an internship. That internship turned into a full-time job. Now, he is not remotely making enough money to pay today's rents. And he has a goal of purchasing something. So he is staying at home. He don't want to stay home, obviously. He wants to be on his own, doing his thing. But it just seems stupid to pay $2,000 a month as a storage unit for your stuff when you are not there because you are working 10, 12 hours a day.
Wow.
Okay, so he is
Yep.
working 10, 12 hours a day. Sometimes he works 6 days a week. He has a degree in pharmacy. He is not a pharmacist.
Wow.
He is like some administrative person, right? And, you know, he is not making enough money. He does not have college debt. He owns his vehicle. This, I'm just saying, he's insanely lucky. And with all of that luck and privilege, right, that most people do not have, he is stressed because he feels that at 25 he should be able to live on his own and buy a house.
I bought my first house when I was 24.
Right? He doesn't want anything fancy. He's like, I just want to be an adult.
Yeah.
I got part of it down. I don't have the other part. And he's obviously mature and wise enough, because I keep telling him. Like, he's like, I know I have all this privilege and I can't do it. Not could he do it and put himself into fiscal risk, danger area? So like, why would you do that, right?
Yeah.
So
You
that's
say
my experience.
1,500,
Leland, you have little
1,200.
kids, right? You and John, you have adult kids too, right?
I got a 28-year-old, and I feel you on that. You know, but she's out on her own. Finally, I thought that would never happen. You know, and she's doing really well. But you know, but she's a school teacher, so.
Again, not making like huge money.
Yeah, I was like, so you're just going to be broke all your life? No, I was teasing, but you know,
see, that's the difference. My parents were both teachers, educators. Now, of course, this is a long time ago, but
yeah,
they never were at the top of the salary list, you know, for teachers and stuff. But back then, they bought houses. They put all their kids through school. They took us on trips. They had vacations. We all had dental appointments and medical.
yeah, you're gonna definitely get that.
But just your daughter is in the same profession as my parents were.
Yeah, well, that was two of your parents.
Yeah, but still,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's that, and just think about that, Brent.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Well,
I mean, you had two working parents.
I had two working parents,
right? And that was not actually normal back in, what was that, the 50s for you?
No, I wasn't around in the damn 50s, so forget all that nonsense.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, you think about it. They got that. That's what it would provide for you. Today, two working parents in that kind of environment is just enough to really get the things done that you need to get done.
So that's what I'm saying. These folks today have a whole other level of stress, layer of
Absolutely.
stress.
I mean, you got to pay $1,800 a month on rent and live in the hood. Just doesn't make any sense. You know, that's some crazy numbers. It's just a lot.
And it's not just the numbers, you guys. It is the percentage of what does that say? The percentage of your income that goes towards certain things, right? Like we most, except for Leland, who's the baby, we come from a generation, right? There was a rule, right? You don't buy something unless you have 20% down. Remember that? That used to be a thing, right? And 20% down was, we buckled down, we saved, but it was attainable.
Yeah, because it was like an $80,000 house.
Because the house, like our first house was $113,000.
Right.
In a decent, it was a starter home in a middle-class neighborhood. Now we had started in Philly, so my husband had a ton of money saved, right? Because property is more expensive there than in Dayton, Ohio. But you should see how we lived. It's roommates, it's ramen, like you're just extending your college situation. However, the necessities did not chew up as much of your overall income. I probably made my starting salary was about $1,500 a month. Something like that, $2,000 a month. My rent was $500. And I was dying. And I'm dying.
I just happened to look this up. Okay. Because Brent, doesn't have his little things together today. So here's play the guessing game. What do you think the median home price is in America? Second
like-
quarter 2025.
I remember
I don't
hearing
know, is
this
it
number.
450, I think?
It's pretty high. Something around there, 400.
350, 450
I'm
something.
gonna go
Yeah.
350.
What is it, John?
410.
410.
Hey, I was the closest. I said 400. So
You said
Woohoo!
400. 410. I can't even.
that's
So you're
that's a crazy
talking
number.
about how much was your first home, Brent?
I was a townhouse. I think I paid like 98.
98. You said you paid 113.
113.
I bought a condo and it was 72.
What year was that? Dang.
1972.
96. Shut up.
What, 96? Mine was, that's important too, right? We bought our first home in 94.
96.
I bought
92.
mine.
Yeah,
I was really young. 92. Yeah, 92. Yeah.
See,
Okay,
we
so
were
we're
all
talking
pretty close.
30 years ago. It has quadrupled almost in 30 years.
Wow.
So
That's-
I bought mine 2016, $122,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, quarter acre, little over a quarter
Nice.
acre lot. But and it is about timing. It is about
Yeah.
where you are too. House prices in our area have actually increased. My house now is probably worth 270,000 or something like that.
That's a double in less than 10 years. That more than a double, actually.
Yeah, I got it right before the house just skyrocketed. The housing prices skyrocketed. So I got in really lucky. Although we wanted to buy a house even earlier, and it's like I could have bought a house, and this was just after I got married, so it would probably been 2012, 2013. I was looking at houses that were $50,000, $60,000. They were run down. I wanted to be able to fix them up, but for a good house, I was looking at $130,000 for like a 4-bedroom, really nice house. Like, and so I think that there are a lot of things that are kind of considered. So like market, your area, and then also you as a person too. So like I grew up in the golden era. Like I was a little kid and my parents should have been, it's like 80s, 90s. They should have been prospering. I grew up poor. My wife grew up poor.
Were both of your parents working or just one?
My dad worked full time. My mom did schooling, but also did work too. So
a little side hustle for mom.
Yeah, like part-time work, gas station, pizza delivery driver. But even when she got a full-time job and he got a full-time job, they really sucked at money. They just really sucked at money.
Yeah, some people just suck at money.
Yeah, and so it took them a while to actually figure out how to actually do finances properly and not try to do it through quick get rich schemes. Although my wife, she grew up poor. My wife slept on a straw mattress for the first few years of her life.
A straw not on the straw itself, right?
Well, yeah, pack it into like
I don't know. This is new for me. I need to know more about this. This is interesting.
Yeah,
wow.
And so did her brothers. And it wasn't until she was like 2 that she got an actual mattress, and they were like 10 when they actually got a mattress. But it's like her parents, her dad just had an authority problem and would always quit and try to do business himself. Yeah. He sucked at doing a business. And so she grew up poor, both of us. So that's why we work very well together. But we worked hard, and we're in a position now where our kids don't know struggles like what we struggled with. Yeah. And that was our goal. That was like, we wanted to be in a position to be able to work hard, be smart with our money so that our kids didn't know. I mean, our house, it's 1,000 square feet. It's not an opulent mansion or anything like that. But, if we were to do that, we would probably struggle, and they would know that we would struggle. So we're trying to be smart with our money. Even though, house prices have gone up, we're not going to, and even though we can actually use the equity to be able to get a good down payment on a big house, we're not going to do it. Not until
Not
Jerome
yet.
Powell really
Yeah,
reduces those
exactly.
rates.
Not until it falls apart. At
Yeah.
some point, everything's cyclical. It's going to, crash, and you're going to be able to make that move. Wait for it. It's coming.
I'm loving all these comments,
Yeah,
Brent.
it's crazy to see that.
It's
These
absolutely
numbers.
great to see. And one of the things, it kind of hurt me a little bit, Leland, to kind of hear your story and this idea, not just of what it means to not be smart with money. And what I was really clear about is that I learned this in manufacturing, right? There's a manufacturing guy named Deming, and what he says is
Ed Deming.
Ed Deming, right?
Yeah.
And the philosophy is that people will do the very, very best they can given the system they have to work with, right?
Mhm.
And I learned that the hard way. Like when I moved out to Philadelphia and had to pay my own rent, my own food, and my cost of living increased by like 40%.
Mm.
And you're like, I've only got X amount of money. Like only X amount is hitting my bank account. And I can cut costs or I can increase revenue. Those are like the two things you can do. So I went and worked like 2 additional jobs while I was going to grad school, while I was like doing all this stuff, right? And you have to do the best you can within the system and the constraints that you're given. And I kind of get, I'm pretty sure if you take some of these people who have been like sailing through life, saying pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and you put them in your parents' situation, I guarantee you they would fold like a lawn chair.
Yeah, they would struggle, and I've seen those documentaries. But I would imagine that there are some people out there who are better situated, who have a little bit more ambition. So my dad, no ambition. He worked as a correctional officer, ground floor, and he would not move up to save his life, and he moved to a different prison that was closer, and he was starting to train people, and then those trained people all of a sudden became his boss and his boss's boss. And after a while, after years, he finally said, okay, I'll start climbing the ladder. And then things got better. But it took like a decade of him not being ambitious, not wanting to rise up, not having that ambition, not having that drive for him to actually all of a sudden start. And so, it is, I could see other people, like there were other people that he was training who did rise up, who did get up, and they would start making more money, but not him. And so I think that it does come down a little bit to personality.
And there's that. But Leland, if there's anything that the COVID taught us is we need everybody, right? I think I grew up in an environment where it was like, you got to get a college education. Oh, we're like, heck, my great grandmother was like the first female judge in Belgrade. So like there, the bar was high. The bar was high, right? But the point is, we need everyone. We need people who are perfectly happy to clean the schools and to empty the garbage cans and still be able to purchase the things that our small businesses sell. We need everybody. And I think part of the issues that we're having, and maybe why college has gotten so expensive and some of the costs have gone up, is like, like everyone's got to be, and I have that in the entrepreneur world, the whole hustle and grind, like romanticizing this thing. Yeah, we can all hustle and grind for a certain amount of time to get to a certain place, right? I don't know. It's just like balance.
All I know is that there are people out there on Reddit, in a Reddit group, that are putting $20 away every week so they can buy the next Beyonce concert ticket. It's just ridiculous.
But you know what we need, and this is my point. Small business owners need customers, okay? And the last thing you want to do is get a report like a university where I was working at, and they said, we got good news and bad news. And they're like, what's that? Good news is you got all the market share. And they're like, yay. Bad news, it's a really small market. Right? So we don't want that. We want people to have money and spend money. This is what we want. This is what has small businesses thrive. People buying appliances and cars and getting those things fixed and working so much, enjoying their life that they're hiring a lawn care service, right? This is what we want. This is what I'm most concerned about. I am concerned that there's going to be a profound lack of customers because you cannot be spending this much debt on your credit card and keep doing that. That is not sustainable.
No, it's going to come due. It always does.
Yeah. Wow. This turned into a fascinating kind of conversation. I didn't know what direction we were going to go.
You know what it is? It's the real life conversations that I think a lot of small business, in my opinion, I'm keep thinking about whoever it is answering those surveys. I'm like,
I mean, even as when we started the show and we go around and say, well, how are we feeling this week? Most times it's pretty net positive. But then it's almost sort of like even when you were talking about when the people are in a group and they're at, oh, everything's great, and then when you get a little underneath the skin and you get one-on-one, it's like, oh, there's a little more going on than what was up here. And I think we can honestly all say that. And it appears from the comments that we're seeing, they're in agreement with us. It's kind of hard to feel like great. It might be easy to say when you're up here, but when you get into these kind of conversations, there's a lot of stuff that's concerning either individual self or just the aggregate. And I don't know. It feels like there's still this level of uncertainty that we're all dealing with on some level. And I don't know how we get past that level of uncertainty. I don't know what it will take, but
I mean, when did you not have it? Other than when you were a teenager?
I'm trying to think. I felt very certain when I got my graduate degree and had a job already lined up. And it was like a management development program kind of job. There's like you spend 2 years going from different kind of job in different part of the business, and then you finally, at the end of 2 years, you get to determine what direction your career. I mean, it was all set. I didn't worry about anything. I didn't worry about if I'm going to have a job or how much I was going to make, because it was all there for me. And even when I decided I wanted to go and do my own thing, I came out the box with a $60 an hour contract that was 40 hours a week. Back in the 90s, it was pretty good. I mean, once you got past the early 90s, you were pretty well lined up. And then I did that, and then I went to PwC, and I was, didn't have anything to worry about there. I really didn't have to worry about money until I came down to Atlanta and left PwC and wanted to try to find my own way.
Break out on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. It's just once you break out on your own, and you're always thinking about things that other people might not be thinking about.
And there's always going to be like 2008. I mean, that was a rough period. And then, of course, the pandemic. But outside of certain things, I've been very fortunate. I haven't really struggled a whole lot. But I don't think my setup or story is kind of the general thing. And like, I know you guys probably are the same. When you go on your trips and you get your Uber rides and Lyft rides, and I've been on so many, I talk to the folks. I just ask them, some basic stuff like, hey, how long you been doing this? And, that conversation leads to some really interesting stuff. Like,
yeah, I stopped doing that.
It's kind of hard because these folks are like,
stop doing that. I just realized it.
Yeah, people are driving for extra money.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, and these young people, like under 30, and they're like, yeah, I'm driving. I got a wife and 2 kids, and our monthly rent, because they can't afford to buy a house, so they're renting a house for $1,500 a month, which is more than my mortgage. And they don't have the kind of jobs that give you health care. So they have to buy their health care, they have to pay their rent, all these things that I never had to worry about.
You cannot rent a house for $1,500.
See,
You
that's
can hear.
yeah.
You can hear. Oh, you can.
So yeah, I think it's even with the very little responsibilities I have compared to some of these folks, I still have concerns. So I can't imagine what it'd be like for these folks.
Me either. And you have no kids, no wife, just you.
Yeah, just me.
I can't imagine what it's like in Leland's areas of having to raise a new family and, just, I don't know. It's just, it's a weird time, of course.
I think it's a very interesting because people can make money. I mean, if you're willing to drive Ubers and do all the gig economy stuff, and there's a lot of people that do that. They do Lyfts, they do Uber Eats, they do all these things, and you can accrue some money. But once you have to pay for your car to keep your car up, because your car is basically your life, because you need that to drive all over the place to make some money,
and you got to stay healthy.
And well, if you get sick or you break an ankle or something, then you can't work and you don't make any money. I mean,
it all falls apart.
Yeah, so I feel when people say it, they feel positive about what's going on in terms of their kind of outlook and stuff. I always wonder, wow, that's really great that you feel that positive. But then, like you say, even if you start talking a little bit longer, and it's like it ain't as good as the picture was at the beginning. So that's why I say I don't know what it's going to take to get past that real feeling of uncertainty that just seems to be with us.
I love it. Love it.
All right, it's that time. So parting words, Leland.
I'm going to steal again from Ivana. Listen to your customers. Honestly, you got this Cracker Barrel situation that's kind of been going on, and I'm pretty sure
that a situation. What?
$200 million loss in valuation, and
the new branding makes no sense.
No.
Why are you taking the barrel out?
People don't know what a cracker is. I'm like in Cleveland, an immigrant, and I know what a cracker is.
I know there's some people think they know anyway. Yeah. Well, why do you take that out? I don't. That makes no sense to me.
Because they don't know. They don't know which one of the ones they took out was the cracker. They didn't know.
But I am sure if they would have actually pulled their customers, talked to them, and they would have gotten, don't you dare damn touch this, anything about this. We love it. They wouldn't be down $200 million in valuation.
That's crazy.
They got too much money. That's what you do when you got too much money.
I imagine it's hubris. They are too full of themselves. They think that they know better. And I've seen this many times, whether it's government, whether it's businesses or even in a family setting or something like that. You get that person who's just like, no, I know better. You don't know what you want. I know what you want.
Well, I mean, hey, that worked really well for Steve Jobs. You don't know what you want till I tell you.
Okay, point to John.
Point to except Jobs. But this, I'm like, what is the big deal? I don't know. I guess a lot of people are really into Cracker, but I'm not really into it.
You live in Georgia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now if Waffle House changed.
Oh my God. Oh.
Well, it's the same thing that's happened to McDonald's, to Pizza Hut. All these, like, you get those 90, like Taco Bell has done it. It's like they were colorful, they were vibrant, they were fun, and now they're all gray boxes. And now Cracker Barrel is a gray box, sanitary, neutral, and I guess that's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Interesting.
All
Or
right.
they should roll it back.
All right. Popcorn to Evena.
Oh,
Poor-
woo! I'm not ready. I think I said all my stuff today. No, I think what we're going through is like one of those massive shifts on every level. And I think everyone we all on the boat and everyone's just like hanging on, trying not to get thrown overboard, right? And just like some of us are sick, some of us are puking, but there's some people steering the ship. And I think that's the general feeling. You've just got to get through this. So I say, hang on, look at those things that are going to have the highest impact on your revenue. So, right, might be cutting costs, might be increase in price and providing value. It's back to basics. Okay, John.
I don't have.
That was nothing. I got nothing. That was lame compared to the pebbles and.
He had several mic drops earlier, but
I'll give you the statement, and it's not a quote because I'm not a quote from Bill Gates. That if you want something done efficiently, find the laziest person to do it.
That's true.
they'll
There's
figure
work
it
for
out.
us all.
They will figure it out.
They will figure it out.
My last thoughts is thanks to all the comments, all the folks dropping knowledge. Amber, of course, but everybody.
I love what she said. Families must stick together.
Yeah,
that's a big trend right now. Multi-generational housing is a big thing.
Yeah, do that.
I think you got to do a lot of that stuff because I mean, if the average price of a house is 400,000, I mean,
Well, I have lived through this already through my European side life. I've already been through that. So I am a big believer in education. Get smart. And I'm not necessarily talking about a college degree. Just like get yourself smart, learn things, do things. To John's point, AI, learn something, be learning. They can't take that away from you, right? You can use that. And pull your family together, like Amber said, right? So like all those things, the most important thing. Sorry, John, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say thanks to Karen, Amber,
Yeah.
Smith, Dr. Tajiri. I'm just doing Brent's job right now.
Oh, shut up.
And went back and looked at them all. So there
Good.
you go.
Thank
There
you.
you go, Brent.
Yeah, thank you. Finally did something worth it. Anyway, everybody, thanks again. We will be back next Friday, and then maybe a week and a half from now, maybe a little different format, a little forum. Might be all together. Who knows? We'll see. But anyway, have a great weekend. Hopefully, we will see you next Friday. See ya.